So, hello everyone. Really good to see everyone. Great to have you all on board as usual. Thanks for joining us. This webinar today, I've been really excited about because for a long time there's been quite a big rise in the virtual assistant model, and it's been something that I hear a lot of people talk about. I hear a lot of people want to investigate this option, and with all of the changes that are kind of happening with the way of working in the modern day, I think that this could be of big interest to people if they're going to be looking at setting up a virtual assistant business, and about some of the things that you best practice to do, and give you some help and some tips to advise us to do that. So Lucy has kindly put this together for us. Lucy's background, she's a very, very experienced PA who moved into virtual assistant about 18 months or so ago, went from somebody who has kind of started her own setup and, you know, by her own admission, kind of wanted to find her feet, and she's used her experiences of how to win clients, and she's kind of gleaned her top 5 things for people to think about when setting up a VA business. So Lucy, thank you so much for your time today. It's great to have you on board. I'm going to hand the reins over to Lucy now. I'll reduce myself down, but I'll still be here just kind of keeping an eye on everything and listening in. There will be an opportunity to ask some questions at the end, so please feel free to put them in the group chat. I'll keep an eye on that, and then we can we can catch up with those once again. So Lucy, hello, thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much for such a lovely intro, Paul. Really appreciate that, and so happy to be here. Thank you all for coming on today. I really appreciate it, and I hope that what you're going to hear is going to be inspiring. It's going to help you with your businesses if you're a VA. And if you're thinking about it, I hope it inspires you to do it, because it is a really fantastic career. It's just, I mean, for me, it's so flexible. It is absolutely it's a complete game changer for my life. As Paul said, I was working as an EA in the city before. I was working in St Paul's, and it was fantastic. But after having my son, it would have just been really, really difficult to go back to that. So this works amazingly for me, and I'm a really career-driven person as well. So I've got an amazing career still. I do work I absolutely love. And like Paul said, it's been really successful. So I'm going to give you my top 5 steps here. So I'm not going to talk about the legal side of things, contracts and things like that. I'm just going to talk about my 5 top tips, the steps you need to follow to have a successful VA business. So we'll dive straight in with step 1. Now this is super, super important. Define your skills and pricing. So as a VA, I think one of the best things about it is you can actually tailor this job to be whatever you want it to be. If you love doing the traditional PA kind of work, like diary management, admin, you can do that for clients. If that's not your thing, if you've done that, you don't want to do it anymore, you can do something else. Whatever you love to do and you know you're good at, you can offer that to your clients. So a great place to start is to think about the skills that you love to do and what you know you're good at. Make a list of those. That can be your core offering. When I first started, I had been doing a lot of diary management in my last job as an EA. So I started to offer that to clients because that was what I knew. I don't do any of that now. I don't take on any clients that want diary management because that's just not what I want to do now. It's not where I'm taking my business. But in the beginning, that was great. I still have a couple of clients that I do that for, but I wouldn't take on anyone else that wants that because it's not my specialism now. So again, in the beginning, I was used to organising events, so I take on events to organise. But again, that's not what I want to be doing now, so I don't offer that. So think about what you're really good at and find your niche, and that can be your core skill offering. There's really no point going out with, to work with clients and advertising tasks, support that you do when it's not really what you love, because you, as a VA, you get to do what you love. So why the hell wouldn't you just do the tasks that you absolutely love doing? For me, no day going to work feels like this is really shit. I'm doing work I don't want to do. I absolutely love what I'm doing every day. That's because I've maximized on the tasks that I love doing, and that's what I offer to my clients. Think about that as a starting point. as a VA, I mean, there's lots of different VAs out there. Like I said, there's some that classify themselves as a virtual PA and offer the more traditional PA/EA support. There's VAs out there that are just tech VAs that do all, like, you know, MailChimp and websites and things like that. I work with life coaches only, and I build a lot of online courses for them. I do social media and I do some copywriting as well. So they're the things I love to do. So have a think about that. There's so many possibilities. It should be all about what you love. I want to kind of say, as part of that, it's really important that there's always time to learn new skills, but it's not really a good idea to offer something out to a client that you don't know how to do at that time. So over time, I've learned how to use lots of different email marketing platforms, so MailerLite, MailChimp, but I didn't know that at the beginning, and I certainly wouldn't have offered that out to a potential client at the beginning because I didn't know how to do it. And you kind of probably going to shoot yourself in the foot if you offer to do something that you don't know how to do with a view to thinking, I'm going to learn it, because it's just best, I find, to be completely honest from the start with the client about your capabilities. I've kind of, over time, if a client said to me, do you know how to do that? I've kind of said, I don't know how to do it. I can learn. I'm going to have a go, and I'll keep you updated on it. If it's something you think you can learn, always be honest with the client about it. Don't say you can do something if you really don't know how to do it and you're going to have to learn on the job. Just be really honest about it. But that said, over time, there's lots of time to learn new things, and that's the other thing about this job. I have learned so many new things that I didn't even really know existed when I was an EA in the city, and that's been really amazing. So if you're quite motivated and you like learning, this is also a really great job. So onto rates. So the industry standard for VAs in the UK is £25 an hour. I think anyone selling their services for less than that an hour just devalues the industry. To be honest, being really blunt, that really is the absolute minimum you should be charging. If you have tons of EA PA experience, you should definitely be charging more than that. I charge 30. I'll definitely put my prices up again at the end of this year. Know your worth with this. When I first started, people said to me, how the hell are you charging £30 an hour? Like, that's just crazy. But I always say to people now, I work with VAs now, I coach VAs to do what I've done, and I always say to them, the client's paying you not just for the hour, but for all the years of experience that you have in business, all the knowledge and the skills that you've got, not just for the hour. And it's also important to remember that the client, if they're working with you, they're not paying for holiday, they're not paying for private health insurance, they're literally just paying that to you. And obviously for you as the VA, you have to pay your tax out of that, any subscriptions you've got. So it's not like, if you charge £30 an hour, it's not £30 in your pocket straight away. So every client, I'd probably say 80% of the clients that I've dealt with, potential clients, have all been really understanding. You'll always come across people that think it's expensive and query why you're charging that. And my view is just those people aren't worth working with, because I don't know, I wouldn't go to John Lewis and query the price of some furniture, because I know John Lewis, I'm going to get good quality. So I think it's just marketing yourself so people trust you as someone that's really good and reputable and credible. So we'll get onto that in one of the next steps. So that's everything on that. If you've got any questions, like Paul said, just put them in the chat box and we can do them all at the end. So the next one is to set goals. So you might be thinking, I've just started setting goals, that's really hard, I don't set goals. But setting goals is literally one of the most important things you can do as a small business owner, because it keeps you accountable and it gives you something to work towards. So it gives me a lot of focus to have goals, and I personally set SMART goals. I'm not going to go through what that means. You can actually download this booklet for free, and I'm going to give you the link at the end of the call, and it will have everything in that I've talked about. But SMART goals are a really good way to set realistic, attainable goals, and make sure you complete them in a time that you give yourself. So I really believe that any small step I take when I've planned a goal and how I'm going to get there is just a small step towards achieving my goal. It's really, really important to me to do that. And that means that even on the weeks where I feel like I'm struggling to stay on top of things, I just have to take one small step to reaching that goal, and I know I'm closer than I was the day before. So it doesn't need to be huge goals, and I'll give you some examples of some goals that you can set yourself in your VA business when we get onto the following steps. So the next step is to define your ideal client, and this is the one that people get really stuck on and people often are very resistant to do, and it it's a tricky one. I completely understand why people are resistant to it, but I have to be completely honest. And I'm I say it how it is. This really works as a VA. Identifying your ideal client and having a niche really, really works, because there's tons of VAs out there that market themselves to everyone. And I did it in the beginning. And my mantra is, if you try and appeal to everyone, you will appeal to no one. And like I said in the beginning, before I knew what I was doing, when I was completely clueless, I think I had on my LinkedIn that I work with entrepreneurs, small business owners, small businesses, CEOs, marketing professionals. And it was just ridiculous, because how was I ever going to get any of those clients? Because I wasn't appealing to any one of them particularly. So having an ideal client, having a niche, I think is key. So get really honest with yourself about who you want to appeal to. And I'm going to give this to you in a really basic like analogy, a couple of analogies. So for example, okay, Paul, his recruitment, and I know that Paul specialises in like office staff, say PAs and EAs. So every business has a specialism, has a niche. So that's what Paul specialises in. So he has candidates that approach him that are looking for a PA or EA job, and they're the only people that approach him because they know that's what he does. No one else is going to approach Paul if they, if someone works in IT consulting, they're not going to approach strictly recruitment because that's not their niche. And another one, which I always use, which people seem to like, is I'm a massive Hotel Chocolat fan. I bought their hot chocolate maker and I just absolutely love it. So big fan of theirs. So hot chocolate, Hotel Chocolat, they market themselves as a chocolate expert. That's what they sell. Chocolate is in their stores, wall to wall. You wouldn't walk into there if you were expecting to buy a bottle of wine. I know they sell some alcohol, but it's not really their thing, is it? So if you're going to go there, you are going to get chocolate. It's going to be really delicious, really special chocolate. Maybe you might buy some hot chocolate, but that's what you're going to get there. That's because of their marketing and their niche. I know they're a product, not a service, and the VA is a service-based business, but it's exactly the same. Businesses need to have a niche and an ideal client. So get honest with yourself. It could be that you want to work in a similar field to where you have been. It could be that you've been working in the wellness industry and you want to carry on working with wellness professionals. That's fine. It could be that you've been working in recruitment as a PA and you want to do something completely different. That's what I did. I was an EA at a deco and I supported 2 members of the board, and I didn't really, when it came down to it, when my business evolved, I realized that's not what I wanted to be doing. I didn't want to be in the corporate world anymore. I wanted to do something creative, and that's what I did. So be honest with yourself and know that you're probably going to feel some resistance when you're doing that, because it is hard. But take a massive piece of paper or whatever you like to write something down on in your notebook or whatever, and really ask yourself some key questions. So things like, are they male or female? What's their job title? In what industry? Have they got a family, partner, boyfriend, girlfriend? Have they got children? What ages are they? Do they have holidays? Are they not able to afford holidays? What keeps them up at night? And these things might sound crazy. You might be thinking, why the hell do I need to be thinking about this? But this is really important for the next couple of steps when it comes to marketing yourself and talking to your ideal client. Lots of VAs say to me, well, I don't want to alienate anyone and I don't want to rule anyone out. Okay, that's fine, and I do understand that. But like I said, by marketing yourself to lots of people, you're not going to, firstly, appeal to anyone, and secondly, you're not going to be able to get the messaging right when you're marketing yourself for your ideal client. Because, so for example, you said to me, my ideal client is a male or female CEO aged over 30. Okay, so on social media with your messaging, you probably would talk to a 30-year-old CEO differently to how you talk to a 50-year-old CEO. Just because the language may be different, the way you'd approach working with them might be different. It's really, really important to think about that. So drill down as much as you can. It's hard, but it's worth it. And it's also worth saying that whoever you get on paper as your ideal client now doesn't have to be forever. It just has to be the person you're going to market yourself to now for the time being, for the next month, 2 months, whatever. It's going to change. Like I said, mine changed. My ideal client isn't now who it was in the beginning at all, but I have now my ideal client. I'm really sure of who it is, and as a result, I get approached by that particular person, that particular client regularly on LinkedIn, because that's where I market myself. there was a time I was getting leads every single week because I was marketing myself exactly to that person. So it's really, really important to do that. Some VA trainers will say don't do it because you're going to pigeonhole yourself, but for me it's really worked. I really, really believe in it, and I think it's a really good strategy. So the other thing I want to say just quickly on that is, one thing that people have said in previous trainings like this is, what if I get someone approach me who's not my ideal client and I want to work with them? Okay, that's totally fine. That's your call. Last year, I had a lady who had a Pilates business, and she goes into corporate organizations and she teaches Pilates. She does Pilates workshops and like Pilates at your desk. She said to me, she approached me on Instagram and said, I need a VA. I can see you work with coaches. Would you consider working with me? And absolutely I would, because that's an industry that I have an interest in, wellness and health. So that was appealing to me. So we never actually ended up working together, but of course it's completely up to you, and you will get people that approach you that are outside of your kind of ideal, the realm of your ideal client, and it's completely up to you who you work with. That's the beauty of being a VA as well. So marketing your business is step 4. This is a massive part of being a VA, and this is where ideal client comes in, because marketing yourself is how you're going to show clients who you are as a person, showcase your brand, your values, what you're about. And as a small business, it's so important because you are the brand. If it's just you running it, it's just you're the brand, your people, you're front facing, and people are going to be seeing you all the time. They want to know who you are as a person as well as who you are as a business. So I think it's really important to have a strong online presence. I don't think it's important to be on every single website or every single social media platform unless you can actually maintain that. So I made the decision in the early days to have a website because I think it gives you credibility. But that said, I don't think I get any business through my website, and it's actually in the process of being updated at the moment. So if you haven't got a website and you're thinking whether you need one, I wouldn't say you need one to start off with if that's going to be a huge cost to you. I decided to use LinkedIn and Instagram and have a page on Facebook to start off with. And LinkedIn has been by far the best for me, and I'll get onto that in a minute, but it's just about where you want to be and where your ideal clients are. So for example, if you're super creative and you're looking to work with, for example, I don't know, this is just random artists and they're all on Instagram, go on Instagram and start connecting with them and follow them and engage with them. For me, most of my ideal clients are on LinkedIn. A lot of them are on Instagram, but I mainly use LinkedIn for my networking and my marketing, and that works well for me. So choose a couple of platforms that you're familiar with, that you can use, that you're happy using, and you're confident with, and use those to market your business. It's good to have branding, obviously, so a logo, some colours that you can use when creating graphics for social media. So when creating content to market your business, it's really important to build up the know, like, trust factor. This gets people to do exactly what I'm saying. Know who you are, like you as a person, and trust you as being someone credible in the industry. So if you fine-tuned your ideal client, you'll be able to tailor your marketing and your content and the way you write it specifically to that person. And what you want is to be writing content and marketing yourself so well to that ideal client that they look at your content and they're like, amazing, this is the person I want to work with. She's talking about me, or he's talking about me. They're talking about me and my problems. That's what you need to get to. So like going back to the last step, when you identify ideal client, identify what their real pain points are. What are the things they're stressed with? Are they stressed with social media because they can't keep on top of it and they can't get all the posts out? Are they stressed with organising their diary because it's all getting too much? By knowing that, you tailor your content to them and you speak to them directly. It's so important. So adding different types of content adds variety and interest to your profile. It's really important to have a variety, because too much of the same, people are going to switch off. They're just going to think it's the same thing again and again. So again, all this is in the download that you can get if you sign up after the call, but things like videos or a live on Instagram or Facebook, if that's where you are, about you, who you are, how you help your clients, how you solve their problems. I totally get that videos are really, really scary. But once you do it, it's really empowering actually, and it allows people to see who you are as a person. I think LinkedIn's great, but it is literally essentially a CV with a photo, and just make it come alive with a video. People want to see you, they want to see who you are, your personality. That's how your clients are going to get, your potential clients are going to get to know who you are and want to work with you. So post about the kind of work you do and how much you charge. I think it's important to be really transparent. Personally, I hate going on a website or seeing a post about a service and not knowing how much it's going to cost, because I just want to see it there and then. So it's really great to write a post about what you do. So this is how I help my clients, this is what I do for them, and I charge X amount per hour. And I've got a couple of spaces for new clients coming up. So things like that, we call that a call to action in marketing, because you're essentially asking someone to take action. So other things you could post, so a case study about a client you helped and how you fixed a problem for them. So you could talk about, you know, obviously not naming names, but, you know, last week a client called me and they were super stressed and they had this problem and I fixed it for them by doing this, this and this. So that's what your potential clients want to hear, because potentially that could be their problem and that's how you could solve their problem, and that's really attractive to someone. And then lastly, any tips that your ideal client might find useful. So for me, I often post time management tips, any kind of, like, because I said I do online courses, I post information or tips about the online courses, the platforms that I use, and that usually goes down well. And don't be worried about giving out all your knowledge or too much information, because at the end of the day, clients don't pay for your knowledge, they pay for you to support them. So don't worry. Any value you give away is going to be really useful to people, and again, builds up the know, like, trust factor. So the next and final step is networking. So deciding where you're going to network to get clients is a really important step as a VA. There's obviously networking meetings, which are obviously impossible right now, and who knows when we're going to be able to get back to networking meetings. But they're a great way to meet potential clients. Personally, I've not been to a single networking meeting actually for the purposes of networking. I've been to a few now, which I go and speak at, kind of about this kind of thing, but I haven't been to any for networking purposes, because in the beginning of launching my business, I just didn't have the time. I was working when my son was at nursery, and that wasn't for very long, and all I could do was spend all my time that was child free actually on working on billable client work. So for me, going to a networking meeting would have been like half a day out of work, and I couldn't afford to do it. And also, I wasn't very confident in the beginning. I didn't feel how I do now about getting clients, so it just didn't appeal to me. But lots of VAs I know love networking meetings. You can find some that aren't all about kind of like businessmen. Like, I had the idea in my head that it was going to be all businessmen with their briefcases in suits, and that didn't appeal to me. But the reality is a lot of networking isn't like that. So you can probably find one local to you that might even just be local business people like yourself, that just go to exchange ideas and be inspired by each other. So that's quite good as well. So they can also be quite pricey, networking, that's one thing to say. I know people that do them, often you pay an annual fee and you pay for every session you go to. But that said, there's obviously an advantage as well, because you're paying to get in front of people physically, and that's obviously really good. So for me, as you're probably getting to understand now, LinkedIn, I think, is one of the best platforms for networking and getting business, and it's been so beneficial for me. It's where I have got pretty much, I'd say, like 85% of my work has come from LinkedIn. Lots of VAs use Instagram and Facebook with great success, but it really is just about finding out what works for you, where your ideal client will be, and just being there as well. So going back to goals, I mentioned, set some small goals with networking. So it could be that you say to yourself, every week you are going to connect, say on LinkedIn, or follow on Instagram 10 of your ideal clients. So connect with them, follow them, and start engaging with them. Start liking their posts and commenting, so they get to know who you are. That's really important, because you can't just be posting content and not actually be engaging with anyone. That also boosts it means on LinkedIn, if you're engaging, it means your posts are more likely to be seen by people. So make sure you're engaging with people. And like, I love to do that now on LinkedIn. I have an amazing community and a great network on there. I love engaging, I love chatting to people on there, and I find it a really inspiring place to be. So one thing I want to say about this, which is a bit controversial, and often people really disagree with me, but don't send any cold sales pitches into people's like DMs. I know it works for some businesses, but I don't think as a VA this works. if you connect with someone, then immediately send them a message to say who you are, what you do, and do they need a VA. I just think it's really off-putting, because personally people do it to me, and I know I'm going to buy off someone that I trust. I'm not just going to buy off someone that slides into my DMs. It's just not going to happen. That's one of my values that I feel really strongly about, is trust. So everyone's different. I understand why people feel differently about it, and they might want to do that, but for me it's not worked. And I do see that I have seen other VAs do it and had like a bad response from people. So I think it is worth remembering that engagement and trust is built on engagement. And one of my other mantras that I always say is, the people you engage with and connect today will be your clients in 3 to 6 months. It does take time to build it up, but it really, really is worth it, because it means you're going to get clients that are aligned with you, your values, who you are as a person. And the other thing to say is, and this isn't to be negative, but I just want to be really honest, there's no magic formula. I know I've given you a 5-step success plan. This works. This isn't a magic formula though. This isn't me saying tomorrow you're going to have a 5-figure business like lots of coaches say. It takes hard work, it takes consistency, but showing up regularly and being authentic really, really pays off. I've seen it, it's worked for me, I've seen it work for lots of other people. Even if no one engages at first, just keep at it, because people will. Keep going, don't be put off. Think about someone that you like for me, it's Joe Wicks. He is an absolute hero for me. The way he markets his business, I love it. And he's really open about the fact that he shows up every single day, even when he doesn't feel like it. And he has so many followers now. He's made such a difference in the world, and he doesn't have a day off when he doesn't really feel like posting on social media. I'm not saying that you go to Joe Wicks levels, but I'm just saying he's a really great example of what can happen if you show up and you're consistent and you're authentic. So keep at it. As your network grows, you will get clients, you'll get people approach you, and the conversations will start happening. So that is the end of the 5 steps. We'll do some questions, and once we've done that, I'm going to post a link to download the document that I've just gone through. It's got all the information in there, and a lot more that I haven't gone through today. I've also got a group over on Facebook called Clueless to Full Capacity VA, where it's a private group, and I go live in there every week and post loads of content for people who are thinking about being VAs, just to help them on their way. So yeah, shall we do some questions now, Paul?
Yeah, definitely. I have to say, Lucy, I thought that was fantastic.
Good.
There were some really great pieces of advice, and I think we spoke about it on the phone, didn't we? That one of the things that is difficult for a VA is to go off and get the clients, and from a recruitment agent's perspective, that's our job. That's what we do. That's what we have to do. We have to have clients so we can service their jobs. So looking at it from the perspective of what you said about just sending people cold messages on LinkedIn, I get 5 a day from VA saying, "Hey Paul, can I be your VA?" But I own a secretarial recruitment agency. I mean, it's just blank.
Yeah.
And also what you said about the time that it takes for it to build up, I think that is really important info as well. I don't know much about the VA business, but I know about recruitment, and I know about what it takes to get clients and nurture clients.
Yeah.
It's not a quick win. It's about building the trust and the relationship to then push forward and keep going and going and going. So yeah. Really good, really solid advice.
Thank you. I'm really glad you agree with that, actually, because you've been in recruitment for what, 20 years, like a really long time, and you've obviously got lots of experience of building those relationships, and it does take time, but I really believe doing that leads to some really fantastic working relationships.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think back at look, the clients that I've got, my trusted clients. I think back in my journey of recruitment, you know, the first client that I ever picked up has been my best client for 20 years. Yeah. Stayed with me forevermore. But, you know, it wasn't until, I don't want to burst people's bubbles as well, because it's important to kind of, but be realistic as well. What you say, it takes time to break those barriers down, to then move them from, say, prospective to then complete trusted partner, you know, and and that is a journey that does take a long time. And with what you've done, you know, with what you said about you know, taking the time to kind of be consistent on social media and just kind of keep going and going and going and going. There is no shortcut in that, and totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah. Thank you. One thing I actually want to mention as well, which I just thought of. So you're situated in the city very close to Office Angels, who I used to work for, and they must be your competitor. But let's be honest, there is space here for everyone, whatever industry you work in. So there's, you know, they do general office, you know, general staffing, as do you, but there's space for you both, and it's the same in the VA world. There's space for everyone. It's not a super competitive industry. Think about all the people out there that need VAs. There is work for us all, so it doesn't need to be a competitive space.
Definitely, totally agree. So I've got some questions here.
Yeah.
It's great that we've got some coming. Great that we've got some coming through. Some people are saying what great advice with, you know, finding your niche and what have you. Somebody is asking about whether you or VAs in general have like a minimum spend, and do you spend clients up to a minimum number of hours, and how that works?
Yeah, so this is a tricky one we need to cover off inclusively in the call. So you can either work on a retainer or an ad hoc basis. Some VAs do say they only take on clients for minimum 4 hours a month, for example. It's completely up to you how you like to work. I have a mix, really. I have some clients on retainer, I have some on ad hoc. If you do a bit of both, it gives you the flexibility, and it gives you more of a core income. If you've got a few clients on retainers, you know you're going to have that money every month, and the ad hoc will be on top of that. So you can do it either way. It really is up to how you want to run your business.
Yeah, good stuff. And somebody's asking about tax incentives. Are there tax incentives for running your own VA tax incentives for running your own VA business?
I don't think so. I don't think I'm probably that qualified. I'll have to ask my accountant. But I'm a sole trader. I'm not a limited company yet, so I don't think there's any tax incentives. But I'd have to double check on that.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I think once you move to a limited company model, there is a you know, just, hey, look, I'm not an expert at all, but just kind of, just broach that as a limited company model. There is a small tax break, but then you have to pay corporation tax on, you know,
exactly.
It's, you know, it could be negligible, should we say? But you know, but I guess the incentive of the VA business, you've got the opportunity to be charging 25, 30 quid an hour, which you know, is big, to be fair. Somebody's also asking about whether business has ramped up during this period, during the COVID-19 period.
It certainly has for me. I think people are surprised. Like, I feel really lucky that my business hasn't slowed down. I've not lost any clients. At the beginning, there were some clients that were quite that were being very reactive. So there was some challenges for me to deal with in terms of that, because clients were getting very panicky and putting the pressure on me, I think, because they were trying to figure out how they're going to pivot. But yeah, work definitely has ramped up for me. I've had lots of new client inquiries, and I'm obviously now working more with VAs on this kind of training and stuff. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of work, and actually the landscape of work is changing completely, as I'm sure you will agree. There's going to be a huge need for VAs and people working online now going forward.
Yeah, very much so. Another question is, how long did it take you to build up trust on LinkedIn and start getting clients?
When I started marketing myself correctly, which was probably a few months in, probably within 2 months, 3 months maximum, probably 2, I'd say, I was getting leads coming in from my ideal client. Yeah. So that was being consistent. That was showing up and doing a lot of work on there.
Yeah, social media is it's a different beast, and if you know, there is a tried and trusted formula with social media that you've got to be sustained in terms of as you say, consistent, showing up. And I've learned so much about it over the last 4 to 5 years. And I've managed to kind of grow my following by about 300% over the last year alone, just following the basic principle of being relevant, engaging, consistent, and putting stuff that people want to see. And I make sure that I try and post stuff at least 4 times a day, which is a lot.
Yeah.
But that's the kind of levels that, you know, all of the big social media advisors kind of, to kind of take it, as you say about Joe Wicks, that he follows mantra, doesn't he? So
and also let's remind people, if they think that's scary, on LinkedIn, not everyone's going to see 4 posts. Like, for example, Paul, I don't see all of your 4 posts every day. I might see 1 or 2. So don't be worried about putting out too much content. Not everyone's going to see it.
Yeah. And a really good thing that I learned as well is that it doesn't matter if people don't see it, because if people don't see it, and a lot of people are kind of a bit scared of, what if people don't like it? Because if people don't see it, they don't like it. If people don't see it, then they've got no choice to like it or dislike it. So it's about getting over that hurdle, isn't it? So
definitely, and I'll often look at someone's posts that they've posted historically to see if they are active. So that's what, like, don't worry if no one's looking at it, because they might look back at it.
Yeah, definitely. So somebody's saying how wonderful you are, and they've got so much to take away from this, so that's lovely.
Good, thank you.
Does your business offer life coaching?
So I do offer coaching for VAs. If you're thinking about being a VA, or if you're a new VA and need some support, I am doing that at the moment. So get in touch with me on LinkedIn and I can send you some details for that. I've got 5 spots open for June because I'm so limited on time, but I want to help people. So I've got 4 slots left. So let me know if you'd like some of that.
Fantastic. Somebody's asking if you can use an umbrella company whilst working as a VA.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't personally recommend it. You're always going to get paid less. Go out and get clients yourself if you can, but it's just personal preference. I haven't. I know people that have done it.
Good stuff. How did you technically connect to the client networks to provide support, or you don't need any access? How is it technically possible from your end? What equipment do you have?
Okay, so on the tech side, so for the 2 clients I mentioned that I do diary, we have it all set up. So exactly the same as you would, if you worked in an organisation, it's just on my Outlook. So I've got professional Outlook and connected to theirs so I can see their diaries. They have me set up on email accounts within their business. So I just use those ones, again, connected all within my Outlook on my mailboxes. Generally, there's not a lot of access needed. Like, so for every client, I have a Dropbox. We have a shared Dropbox where we save all our documents and everything, so we can both access that. We share login details using software called LastPass, which is just an add-on that you can get on your Google, and that securely shares passwords, so you don't need to type them into emails, which is obviously correct for GDPR. So there's not that many, for me, I don't need to share that many systems with my clients that can't be accessed. Like, everything is written into my contracts about sharing passwords and stuff like that, so it's all pretty secure.
Good stuff. Brilliant. Well, look, there's one last question. They put it to me, and I don't want to steal the show.
No, go on.
No, I don't want to. This is about you. But what I will say to that is that Lucy put a great post on. I think I saw it yesterday. I can't remember when it was.
Yeah.
But that was centered around that answers this question essentially about what do you do when you run out of inspiration.
Oh yeah.
Or post it for content and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And a very easy way to do this is to when you're in the flow of thinking about things, have stuff that's stored, ready to go, and you can, essentially you could sit there on a Sunday and have like all of these different things that are stored, ready to go, to then put up on Wednesday, Thursday, that stuff. And that's an easier way of kind of producing like lots of different things.
Definitely, because there's always content. I think when you know who your ideal client is, it's really easy to write content. And like Paul said, just get yourself an Asana board or a Trello board, or even just sit down with a pad of Post-it notes, put your phone timer on for 5 minutes and just write as many ideas as you can. Do that a couple of times a week, and then you'll have a bank of ideas to use.
Yeah, definitely. So everybody's saying what a great session this was. And look, I really agree. I think look, I thought it was really good, really interesting. I know that a lot of recruitment agencies, especially in the secretarial sector, almost kind of like, oh, you know, VAs are the enemy because they're kind
Yeah.
of taken away. But as you say, there's space for everybody at the
Yeah.
moment, and what you're talking about now is going to be so prominent over the kind of coming months and what have you. So
yeah, totally agree.
great.
Thank you.
So thank you for your time.
Thank you all, and thank you, Paul, for having me. I've loved it, and I've just shared a link to download that document that I just talked about, so the 5-step plan. You can have it for yourself. You can read more about it, and you'll be on my list to get all my updates about things that are happening. So thank you so much. I really, really appreciate you having me, Paul.
Absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming on, and thank you to everybody that's joined us. If you've joined us through an email link, or you've seen something and you're not part of our network at the moment, we're called the Business Support Network. We're on Facebook, and we're on LinkedIn as well. Come and join us. We've got lots of things going on all of the time. It's great to have you on board. Lucy, do you mind just staying on for 2 seconds so we can
Sure.
chat afterwards? Is that
yeah,
right?
sure. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time, everyone. Really appreciate you joining us.
Thanks, everyone.
Cheers.
Thank you.